I don't know about you guys, but holy moly, what a crazy start to a day. We hit the ground with the anticipation of a nice, calm start to our morning, and then everything pretty much momentarily went haywire. A good haywire. We just had something presented to us this morning that now has put us in a bit of a, not tizzy, but just having to adjust to it. I'm putting my milk away. Give me a second. I needed to pour a cup of coffee so I could sit and enjoy my time with you guys. I just was trying to do a load of washing. I don't think the water's working right, so I got to mess around with that. So I decided to just shut that off and visit and then attack it later. But yeah, we woke up and we're relaxing and then got a message. So now things are a little crazy for the next couple days, but nothing we can't handle. Good morning, Miss Jane. So how are you guys today? It is beautiful here. It was absolutely beyond gorgeous yesterday. I mean, incredibly gorgeous. And I was stuck inside. I finished my taxes yesterday. Praise God. I hate to use the word hate, but I really hate taxes. But I did get out for 2 walks yesterday, and that felt amazing. And I was able to, at least my standing desk is right in front of the window, so I can't complain. It was beautiful. And today is really nice too. I was thinking about enjoying our time outside, but it's very windy. So I figured I'll just stay in here and we'll visit, and I'll get some time out there a little later. But how are you guys? This world is crazy, right? It's like there's always something. So don't ever anticipate calm. Calm comes when you least expect it, right? I think that is greatly the truth of things. So I want to ask, I'm looking for something here. Bear with me a second. I'm going to kind of tilt you because I got you in one hand and I'm digging for something in the other here because I want to show you guys something today. There we go. Okay. So sorry. I was trying to be prepared, but it was kind of a scurried morning, and I am prepared otherwise, but I'm just kind of getting situated here. So I want to ask for some prayers, and I also want to give some praises, and I want you guys to chime in with that. Praises that things are going amazing for the Mountain Boy and for us. Just lots of good stuff going on. I will soon have a table in the house, which will make it really nice and give me an even more beautiful workspace. But yes, the things are going so good for the Mountain Boy. He was blessed greatly this week. And we're getting things lined up for his courses to start Monday. And we've applied for more grants and scholarships. And we found out yesterday that financial aid has vouchers for books. So that is really awesome. So things are lining up there. And he's got this really cool pen and notebook, which is just... It's amazing. I think we could all use it. When I start explaining what it does, you guys will be like, oh, I need one of those. But we asked for what kind of services were available for him for note-taking and testing, just so that he doesn't have the pressure behind him and that he can take tests a little more relaxed, because that is his greatest struggle. And it's called a live script pen, and it actually records the class. So he's got to turn it on, engage it, and it'll start recording. And it also, in the notebook, he can write and take notes and, write the name of the course, write maybe something that stands out to him. And then if there's something in the lecture that really stood out or that he needs to go back to, say it's an assignment, say it's something that the teacher says, don't forget this. This is something you're going to want to remember. He can, as simply as put an asterisk on the paper, and at the end of class, just stop the recording. But it's smart enough to know that when you tap on that page on the paper, that it will start the audio right at that place. So you don't have to waste time trying to find it in the audio. And so as far as note-taking and being able to refresh himself on what the class was about, he's actually able to re-listen to it because of this pen. Given that it doesn't have any technological issues, but what an awesome what an awesome thing. And also, while he was here last weekend, it was really cool to see him recording things in Evernote. And we are connected. We share so that I can see what he's got going on. If he has questions or problems, I can just see it on my screen. We don't have to go to a big ordeal to be able to, for me to be able to help him. So I'm seeing him using his Evernote and recording things, which is like really a huge step for him because he wasn't doing that before. So now that he's doing that and he knows the convenience of being able to look it up, so that is just tremendous. I see all you guys on here. Awesome, awesome. We got Jane. I said hello to Jane. We got Miss Shelley. Good morning, Miss Shelley. Good morning, Miss Tammy. Tammy, I'm hoping you can stick around. I know you said things are going to be a little crazy there for you this morning. So we were going to talk about wash, and maybe we'll do that next so that you can share your thoughts on that. And we've got Jane saying it was beautiful yesterday. I'm going in next week to take all my records into the endocrinologist. Prayers, they can help. Absolutely, sister. We are praying, praying, praying. I know. How neat is that? Is that not cool? That is like such a cool setup. I'm like thinking to myself, man, I could use that, because oftentimes we are recording conversations with clients, and then you got to kind of like go back and listen to the whole thing so that you can remember measurements and sizes and different things that they need for their buildings. And I do it with my clients regarding their websites. So to be able to do that, I'm going to look into it, because they're like over $100. But what a cool concept. What an easy way to be able to do school, business. It's pretty awesome. Good morning, Miss Deb. She says, good morning, Tammy and all. At work again. Barely going to be able to listen in. Pretty busy today. Well, we love you, and we will be praying for you. Shelley says, that is awesome technology for Austin to help with his schooling. Yeah, because that's his biggest thing, is remembering things. Like, it's not as bad now, but in his younger years, he has an auditory processing disorder, so it's delayed. So, we thought he just had selective hearing, but he really did have issues in that if you didn't get his attention and we're talking face to face, he either heard the first thing you said or the last thing you said and didn't hear anything in the middle. So, it's one of those deals of getting Austin's attention, talking to him. And, when things happen too fast, it's hard to process it all. So to be able to go back and listen to things, I hear you. Me too. Sometimes, that's why I think when we're in big crowds, it's just so overwhelming. It's just too much input. And I'm really grateful that he has that tool, that he can even just leave little notations, homework, don't forget, just little notes for himself that he can go back and listen to it. And this pen evidently is capable of keeping the whole term on there, that if he were to record every class, it's able to keep it all on that pen. And it also comes with software that connects with the computer so that he can download them if he needs to. But it's really cool setup. Carol sent me pictures right before we went live. Oh my gosh, that little boy is so cute. I don't know if he's there, but hello, Lorenzo. And she says, Lorenzo and I finally got the greenhouse up and started planning. I bet he had such a good time. I saw the pictures briefly, but I'm so grateful you guys share stuff like that with me. That's just so awesome. It's so awesome. So that is a huge praise. Yep, I agree, Jane. You need to post some of those pictures in the community page. That is just awesome. He's eating his dinner, Law. Okay, well, you enjoy your dinner, Lorenzo. We're always happy to see your little smiling face, buddy. Another thing is I would like to ask for prayers for my friend Holly. Her father-in-law had a heart attack the other day and instantly passed away. So it was very sudden. And her mother-in-law is wheelchair bound. He was her caretaker. So they are trying to find, care for her. So it was just a lot all at one time. So if you could pray for Holly and her family. And if you could also pray for Carol's friend, Tracy. For just God's hand on her, for comfort and peace, and also the same for Carol. Shelley says, it was nice yesterday, and I was able to dig and weed one of the 3 raised garden beds. It looked nice, but the cats were in it by this morning. Of course. He sent a little video as well. All right, Carol. Carol said that. Awesome. I will check it out. I will check it out. I need to work out how I did it last time to put the pics up. Okay, do you remember how to, you know how to log in there and everything, right? If not, I will send you that information again. But yeah, send your pictures. It's so great to see everybody sharing. Kelly shared her pictures of the baby goats last week, and it's really neat to see our community taking off. And I want to see you guys, the point of the community is for everybody to share, not just me. And it's nice because it gives a level of I'm not alone. It also gives an opportunity for people to ask questions and learn from one another. So it's really awesome. Yes, I can get in, Law. Okay, just making sure. But yeah, share, and ask your questions there. Don't be afraid to. Don't forget to ask them here. Also, if you're watching the replay, never hesitate to ask questions, leave praises, ask for prayers. I wanted to share something with you too. Keith from New Zealand shared what snow mold was on one of our videos yesterday, on that video from Monday that we were talking about it. So that is pretty awesome. He also had shared that through all of this COVID stuff that their small towns, all the banks have closed and there's no cash being used anywhere. So that is pretty darn crazy stuff. But Keith said, let me see if I can open it, because yesterday it was not bringing up the message, and that stinks. I can't see the whole thing, but this is what he says. Snow mold is a mixture of sawdust and feces from burrowing insects in the bark of pine trees. It provides the nutrients for black mold and clear spores, which is spread by the wind. And then he goes on to say something else, but I can't see it, and I can't access the comment for some reason. Let me go into YouTube Studio and see if it's in there. But anyway, I thought that was pretty awesome. I am just so grateful to have people sharing and providing input on things, that we're talking about, and from, people from all over the place just watching the videos. It's really awesome stuff. Let me see here if I can access the comments just to see if there was anything more that he shared. It's so weird. For some reason, I'm not able to see all of that or see it even at all on here. But he said, yeah, the small towns here have closed and cash is hardly ever used. They're trying to take our guns away, so this is spreading around the world too. So that was from Monday's or last week's conversation. What kind of prayer requests and praises do you guys have? I know we will be praying for Jane for her appointment, and Toika is coming up soon, so we will be praying for her and for her pain levels. Oh, nice. Jane says, I bought a high-frequency solar device. Neighbor's cats stay away now. It was frustrating to find poo in my garden. Yeah, that's the worst thing, and cat poo and pee just stinks. Terrible. Jane says, we got snow mold on our lawn. Yeah, it's just so crazy. I'm praising, well, and that could have been what was causing a lot of my struggles, or compounding them. But I am praising God that I am feeling good. The protocol I'm on right now is really helping me to feel human again. And I'm waiting for some things to come in the mail that should really help a lot. Shelly says, I was pretty tired after the gardening. I am back to work today and tomorrow. Today is my last day of antibiotics. Well, we are praying for you, sister. That is hard. It's hard to function when we're not feeling good, let alone trying to work. I was really excited. I was hoping I would have gotten done sooner yesterday, but it wasn't until like 5 o'clock that I was finished, 5 or 5:30, but they're done. But if you guys recall where the outhouse was sitting, there's a little nest of trees there, and they make a circle, and it's a pretty decent sized circle. I want to make an herbal bed there, an herbal garden, and there's a big stump in the front of it facing this way, facing the house, that I already planted flowers in there and bulbs in there, and they're already starting to shoot up. So that's cool. And I have spearmint tea, horseradish, and comfrey already in that area. But what I want to do is I think I'm going to do one of the spiral gardens that comes up so that I can use that to keep planting things, but it'll also give me a section around it to plant things. So I'm real excited. I want to go get river rock and go from tree to tree with the river rock and then get some soil in there and build that up, and because it'll look pretty, but and I want it to have a lot of medicinal flowers in there, some that we can eat in our salads and greens, and then all of my medicinals, so I can easily access them and dry them and utilize that this summer if we can't get the garden in. And then the greenhouse will be the next thing. Shelly says Jane says, Shelly, I hope to get my little gardens ready Saturday. Yes, horseradish. Yes, you have to have horseradish. And I can thank Miss Tammy for that. She has gifted me with some really awesome stuff. Shelley says, we have 4 cats. Much rather have the 4 cats than the mice that cats kill. One of the cats likes to bring us gifts, so I figure she kills many more than she gifts us. Yeah, they're priceless if they're hunting. I'm beginning to think that Olaf doesn't hunt. The gray one does, but I'm not sure, so we will see. But yes, that does make a huge difference when they are keeping the mouse population down, because I can't stand mice either. They just make such a terrible, terrible mess. So I wanted to share with you guys on finances. We talked a little bit about that on Monday, and I wanted to recommend to you guys just this one thing, because so often when we are in a financial spot where we're struggling, it's hard to focus on what our financial situation is when we can't do anything about it. That is a circumstance that many are experiencing right now. But this is where our faith and our trust muscles grow. And I want to encourage you guys to keep it in front of you. Whether you use YNAB, have any of you checked that out? I mentioned that on Monday. It's TrayerWilderness.com/YN as in Nancy, A, B as in boy. So YNAB, YNAB. And it stands for You Need a Budget. It's a great program. But the other thing is, you can do a spreadsheet. You can have pencil to paper and just have everything in front of you so that you know exactly what needs to be taken care of. Be aware of it. Be in tune with it. If you are in a place where you are having struggles, that's where your faith and your trust muscles need to grow, and you just need to know that if you've done everything you are humanly able to do to change your circumstances, then you need to put it at the feet of Jesus and let him do his magic. His superpowers his supernatural will kick in. And by keeping that in our forefront, and I'm sharing this out of experience, because when we were walking our situation out, it was so overwhelming to have all of those things due and have absolutely nothing to put toward it. It was very, very difficult. And I avoided it, something fierce, because it was just so overwhelming. I had great faith and trust in God. It wasn't like that. It was that it was just hard to acknowledge, I guess. But when we are keeping our eyes on it and focusing on it and aware of where we're at, and add anything to it that needs to be added to it, that way when monies do come in and things do shift, that you can prioritize where it goes, and you don't have to work hard and try to figure out where you are and where things are. It's already there. And the key thing is learning not to be pressured by it. We have the ability to do that. And I am again saying that out of growth, because I had to overcome that. And what I have learned is when we are more aware of things and we keep ourselves aware but not anxious and overwhelmed, but aware. Being aware is in everything is really important. Just like I've been saying, to pay attention to your surroundings, be aware of what's happening. It keeps us educated. Well, with our funding, it keeps us able to continue to maintain it when we are able. So, I saw that Laura said it's buffering really bad. So let me see what internet I'm on. Whoop. Nope, I'm on the right one. That stinks. I hope it's better. see. We got a bunch of new people on here. Miss Laura is on here. Welcome. Jane says, I had a colleague years ago. She'd go get me rats in the old granary and leave on the front steps of the house. Yep. Isn't that funny? Yeah, we have animals that gift us too. Good afternoon. Well, not yet. Miss Toyka, good morning. And Laura, is it better? She says, wow, buffering is real bad. There must be something I need to hear today. Laura says, all such sweeties here. Hugs. Shelley said, I missed out on quite a few hours and will not have much of a pay this next time. But Jim had a busy week after he helped me those 3 days, so he made up some of what I lost. Awesome. It has stopped buffering. Okay, good deal. Wow, that was weird, huh? Yeah, the enemy might be fighting. He's been fighting in a lot of ways. He's really going to continue to try to attack us. And that's why with our finances, he does try to overwhelm us. He does try to leave us in a very alarmed state. And the thing is, if we are doing everything we can and in our power, and there's nothing else we can do, then we've got to give it to God and tell the enemy to go pound sand. Be aware of where we're at. Be ready to handle it when we are able, but don't avoid it. Avoidance causes problems in anything. If you have a bad relationship and you're avoiding it rather than communicating, that's going to compound it. If you have financial issues and you avoid it, it's just going to keep compounding. The other thing you can do is keep in touch with people and let them know that you are making efforts. And I encourage you to do that with your credit cards and anything. They're going to be ignorant people to you, more than likely, but they've got to document it on their end. And if it keeps being documented that you're making an effort to communicate with them, that will benefit you moving forward. So it is important, and it's hard, but you can tell them not to call you, and they are supposed to abide by that. And you can also block phone numbers if you're in situations like that, because they will hound you. But being aware, being on top of things, being willing to handle them when you can, and being upfront with people is really important. A lot of people will respect you greatly for that. In these situations, times are tough for everybody. Everybody is struggling. So many people were not considered essential, so I just want to give you guys that encouragement and know that we have empathy for you guys and are praying for you guys if you are in these situations, because it is a reality. It happens to all of us. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with us. I mean, when I got sick, we went 6.5 months without an income because he was needing to care for me and take care of things around the house. And it was also, during our downtime for construction. So it was just a crazy, crazy time. And I wasn't able to keep up with all of my needs because of my circumstances and being flat on my back for a year. It is pretty crazy that when I look back through the last couple years to see all that I have accomplished. When I was flat on my back is when I wrote my book. So it's pretty awing. What we are capable of, even, and what we don't realize we are doing, even though we are walking out some pretty extensive things. But financial issues can hit for a wide variety of reasons. And if it is because we are guilty of misusing the money, then we need to address that and not avoid that too, and learn to start moving forward using our money properly. But avoidance isn't going to help you in any way, shape, or form. So be aware of it. Don't be anxious or overwhelmed by it. Just look at it as though you are keeping track of something. And, know in your heart that if you've done everything in your power, to take care of the circumstances and nothing is shifting, God is working. And you got to trust that. But don't avoid your circumstances. Don't avoid your situation. And again, I'm telling you that from experience, because I did, because I was sick. I was overwhelmed, and I still trusted God, but I hadn't learned how to segregate those feelings and understand that, it is what it is. I need to be aware of it. That's part of being an adult and handling things properly. But I don't have to be anxious. And my trust and my faith muscles were very strong. But the enemy was using anxiousness and overwhelm to really eat at me. And finances had always been something that I worried about. Being a single mom, I was responsible for taking care of my kids. So that was something that I always worried about. But now that I don't have fear and worry, I can speak out of this place and share with you what I've learned. So I just want to encourage you guys to keep track and really keep an eye on things, because the more aware we are of where we're at and what we've got, even if you aren't in a financial place, some people just are kind of careless or not organized or not on top of that. And the more on top of that we are, and the more efficient we are with that, the less stress you're going to have in your life. So I just wanted to share those things with you today. And also re-mention that YNAB is a great resource because you can customize it to your needs. Because the way my screen is set up is it has personal stuff at the top, and then the 3 of our businesses down below are in there. Tithing is at the top. Always. And I shared that on Monday. It's a very important aspect of things. We totally need to be giving our 10% first and foremost. And if you're not part of a church, gifting those in need is giving to the church. So that's how we look at it. Okay, let me see here. Okay, Laura said it's getting better now. Shelly says, I still donate to the local food bank even though. Yeah, you have to. Guys, when we were in that place of nothingness, we learned the beautiful supernatural of God because we followed his nudges, and people thought we were nuts, and we were told so. Because we should be taking care of ourselves first, but that's not what God asks us to do. God asks us to give from our hearts at all times, and that he, I think it's in James, where the widow gave the last that she had, and that was more in God's eyes than all the people that gifted largely, because she gave out of a place of nothingness. And that is what God calls us to do. And when we learned that, and when we learned to commit to tithing, everything shifted. And it's not that we should be giving out of a place of expectation, because that's not what it's about. The thing is, we need to give when we feel that we are meant to give, and God will provide. It's written, it's biblical. God will provide for all of our needs, and he does. He absolutely does. He absolutely will, but he needs a pure heart. So when we give out of our hearts and out of the nudges that God provides for us, and we are comfortable with that, I have no anxiety with that whatsoever anymore. If I am nudged to do that and we don't have enough to pay our bills, but that is being put upon my heart, I follow it, and we never go wrong. So it is really important when we live by the guidelines that we are called to live by. It's just like God's design for a marriage. When you live that out, it's not always easy, but it's divine, and it's really awesome. It's really, really awesome. And I'm saying that from experience too, because I've had the other, and it's not a pleasant place. So when you live out of that space and we live out of his word, it's really, really amazing how he adds the supernatural to it. So I just want to encourage that in you guys today. And just, I felt it necessary to remind us about our financial spot, because in doing all of the research work for Austin and that, I'm really finding out how many people are struggling, and what it's like, and just thinking about how hard it was for Austin to find work. There's a lot of people hiring, but because they're doing things in such weird ways because of COVID, it's just making things really complicated. So I'm real excited, and I just want to give you guys that encouragement because I know things are tough right now. And, when we're doing all we can, this is where God wants us to build our faith and our trust muscles. And that's an important place to be, because when you learn to do that, you do, and you will eventually lose your fear and worry. And it's an awesome, awesome space to be in. Let me see here. Toika says, everything you are saying, Tammy, is so true. Yeah, and it's, we've walked it out, and we know what it's like. We know all the emotions you go through. We know how rough it is, but there's so much good in it, and there's so much amazingness if we learn how to do things as we're called to do it and don't live out of a place of fear and worry. Toika says, Mom had a friend that was trying to support her 4 kids, and the collection guy called her all the time. She finally was upset and told him he wouldn't have a job without people like her. He apologized and would call once a week, being pleasant, asking if she had anything she could put towards her balance. That's awesome. There are very few times had I experienced a really wonderful person, and I actually commended them because of that, because it was, he had empathy, and he cared, and he realized, and that is so powerful when you're in a place like that, is to have somebody with compassion, and that's awesome. Sometimes people don't realize, and later in life, they may not have walked that out, such a circumstance, but when they do, because everybody's going to in this life, they will recall, and I'm sure there will be a lot of guilt there, because it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult when they're calling like that. But there's a perfect tip for you guys. When they're being really miserable, I've shared our circumstances, and some people they didn't care. They didn't care at all. All they were there for was to do their job and to get the money. And of course, the other thing is this too. They have no, they expect to get paid right away, but they're not, if they'd work more with us and enable us to make different payments that work for us, then that would be something that you could even work at. But they've got guidelines that they follow, and they're totally unrealistic. So you can only do what you can do. You can only do what you can do. And this is going to sound sad, but one of the ways that I got around that and all the phone calling is I created a Google Voice phone number, and I set it to not ring, and I put all of the people that we owed money to on that line, and that way they were calling that line, and I wouldn't hear it. It wouldn't interrupt our lives, and I was still doing my part and my due diligence, communicating and staying in communication with them, so that later on, when the time came and when we were able to do things, and I know that there are people that we owed money to that were totally shocked that we rectified our situation, because most people don't. Most people will just walk away from it. So, and that's what they're accustomed to. So, doing our due diligence and doing what we know is right is the most important thing. But by creating that separate line number, that gave me the ability to be able to avoid their ignorance and their unnecessary harassment, and not have that additional overwhelm and anxiety and stress, and be able to still do my part and keep things in order and keep trying very hard to keep moving forward. So that's just a tip for you guys. But we've got to do our part. We've got to do our due diligence. We are responsible for our debts. So that is something that, is important for us to remember. And there are services out there that are available to us. It's a personal choice as to whether you go that route or not. But I wanted to just talk about these things to give you guys a means and ideas on and just to give you the support you might need if you're walking this out, because it is a very difficult place to be. Jane says, it It's not ever been easy, but as we get older and wiser, it's better. We support UGM at the holidays and have done a homeless Easter event for years. God has provided well for us, and we are grateful. Yeah, that's awesome. You guys have amazing giving hearts. You guys are awesome. And you know, donating our time and our monies where we are able, and being supportive of those organizations is really helpful. UGM is a very big, it's big throughout the Pacific Northwest, and they do great things. I love their thrift stores. Those are one of my favorite to go to in Spokane, and I think there's one in Coeur d'Alene too, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's one of theirs. But up in Spokane, you know, they have one up there, and we thoroughly enjoy going there, and to support that. So however we can support things. Yes, Glenn and Austin and I, there is a space in Spokane. They've made them move from that area, but off of Division Street in Spokane, Union Gospel Mission is what UGM stands for. And they do really cool stuff. They've got a workforce program where homeless people are able to get integrated into the program, and then they are able to work their way through the program and then get paid and then find housing. So they've got some really cool programs in place. But we had gone up as a family and took like 5 bags of apples. I would have loved to have made a cooked meal, but it was a very large area of homeless people there. And that was while I was sick, and I just felt like we needed to do that. And it's really crazy. You know, there were little infants and toddlers and young kids in there as well. So it was families as well as, you know, individual homeless people. So, and it tore my heart up because I wish we could have done more. But being able to do those things and to give back and to serve is part of also what we're called to do. So it's pretty awesome, being able to do that. And Jane, that's really awesome. Shelly says, I forgot when I was sick, but every time I do groceries, I either donate $2, which is not much, but by the end of the year, it adds up to an amount that hurts financially to give all at once. Yep, exactly. And that's really, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. A great way to look at it. I do not miss the small amount each time, so it is easier for me to do it this way. And that's the thing. We got to do what works for us and for our families. Getting our kids involved in donating our time. You know, Tammy takes the kids to the farm every week, and that is just really awesome there. And taking the kids to do like soup kitchens and such, like Jane was mentioning, the different things they do for the Easter dinner and stuff. Being able to do that and get kids incorporated in that will give them empathy and understanding as well. You know, so many kids don't see that side of things, and it's important that they do. I think it will humble them a lot. Jane says, Shelly, yes, and it adds up quickly for the causes. Yeah, and when everybody does that, I do the same thing when we go to UGM, because you can roll things over to a larger amount, and we try to donate a lot of our things there too, just to help support them. Carol says, $2 is better than nothing. Every bit helps. Yep. Here in our big stores, they have food boxes. You buy a little extra and drop it in the box on the way out. Dog food too. No, that's very awesome. Laura says, yes, Shelly, some of our grocery stores have $5, $10, $15 bags made up for the food shelves. Makes it so easy to give a meal instead of random items. Yeah, and it's so much better in many cases, especially with the homeless, to be able to give food rather than funding, because oftentimes the funding gets used inappropriately. So being able to do it that way provides for their greatest need anyway, and that is, you know, staying fed. Deb says, what a great idea for phone, and still be able to make your situation bearable and stay responsible along the way. Yeah, I think that that is tremendously important. Oh, crud. My battery is dying on my phone, so hang on a second here. I got to see what I have down here. I think, okay, sorry. Reach for the sky. I was showing you the ceiling. Okay, I'm going to run upstairs here and grab a charging device. Sorry. Oh, I can take this downstairs. Okay, I could have left you sitting down there, I guess. I brought you with. All right, so I didn't think that would happen, but it did. All right, so that is, yes, that's a great way to do it with the phone. Google Voice is free, and it enables you to do things without being pressured and still, because they are relentless. They are relentless, they are ruthless, and most of the people are very ignorant and rude, unfortunately, and that's a sad, sad thing. And you got to do whatever you can to make your circumstances doable and breathable and so forth. So yeah, that's what we did, and it was a huge, huge help. All right, let me see here. Shelley says, it is something I started last year when people lost their jobs because of COVID to help the food bank help those people. I was able to work, so I felt this would help others in our area. That's so awesome. So awesome. I also do the food bags. Ours are $20. That's awesome. Toika says, thank you. I did know that. Take clothes there a lot. Brain fog today. That's okay. I totally get it. I've been in a brain fog for the last couple of weeks, so the wind just tossed this piece of tin that's at the generator. Not the bathroom door today, Miss Carol. Your shanty's still intact. We did not have winds up until today. Today it's windy, but it's not terrible. Jane says it's better to give these types of programs rather than hand out money to the homeless on the street. Yes, for sure. For sure. What I do, I've felt compelled to do this a couple times. And I just answered the nudges. I came out of Walmart and there was a homeless guy at the stoplight. And of course I was stopped right next to him. So I gave him a box of snack bars. You know, he kind of looked at them funny, but I wanted to contribute. I wanted to do something. Another time, when I was taking Austin up to Job Corps, on the way home, I had stopped at Chipotle, and there was a lot of homeless people right around there. So I bought an extra sandwich, and I made an extra loop around, and at the traffic light, I handed it out to the one guy, and you know they're grateful when they start to cry. That was pretty awesome. So I answered that nudge. So, you know, when you're nudged to do things, do them, because there's power in it. There's great power in it. And, you know, one of the things I said to that guy, and that was something else I was nudged to say, is that God loves you. And I don't know. You just do what God shares on your heart and puts on your heart. And when you do that, amazing things happen. You will never know how you touch people. So Laura says, collection agents are people too. I once had to do these calls. It really sucks to know people hate to get your call. I actually paid some of them and worked with them to get sponsorships and grants. That is awesome. And kudos to you. And yeah, I'm sure it is hard knowing that, you know, you don't want to get that call. And I'm sure that they, you know, it's no different than just being in the grocery store line. We've all witnessed it where somebody's checking out and gets absolutely absurd and obnoxious and ignorant with the checker for some stupid reason. They're having a bad day or whatever and just flip out on the checker. I mean, people, not all people, but there are a lot of rude and ignorant people in this world that don't really think twice about what comes out of their mouth or their actions. So, you know, I'm sure that 99% of the people those people have to call are already on the offensive before they even pick up the phone. And again, it's because a lot of times the ones they already have dealt with have been obnoxious. But you're exactly right, Laura. And you know what? When we can show kindness, and that's the thing, when I would make those calls and people were ignorant to me, I didn't stoop to their level. I killed them with kindness, even though it was still disturbing and it was hard to, you know, when you got off the phone, you were grateful. But I didn't, and I made it a point to be kind, and I made it a point to help them to understand my circumstance. And, you know, you can only plant seeds. But kudos to you, girl. That was awesome. Jane says, yes, our kids grew up serving. Awesome. And it's a really good experience for them. Honestly, I think it really humbles kids. And kids today need to see that, you know, not everybody has what they have. And I think it's very, very important. Jane says, Laura, my daughter worked in collections once. She had to leave. Her stress was so bad she was physically sick having to call people. I believe that. I believe that. So we got to have empathy and sympathy for them too. So good, very good point. But like I said, I kill them with kindness, and that's what we need to do regardless. You know, anytime there's somebody being ignorant to me, unless they are harming me, I throw back kindness. And a lot of times, depending on the people, it aggravates them even more because that's not what they're trying to get from me. But there are a lot of good people in this world, so don't discredit the good people out there because you have to deal with some that are not the nicest. So just remember that. And remember that everybody has a story. You know, everybody reacts to their circumstances different, so they may be having a bad day. They may have had circumstances. So, you know, us being able to show our kindness in all circumstances can change a lot too. So let me see here. Shelley says, the money goes to the food bank and then they can buy the supplies that they need to serve more people. Yeah, exactly. Toika says, still love your stairs. So easy up and down. Yeah, after the first round. That was so funny. I'll never forget that day. That was just so, so funny. Yeah, I love our stairs. And you know what? We had them up out of the way this weekend with everybody here. And there's so much room in here. It's so funny. It's so tiny, but there was so much room in here with the stairs out of the way. So I'm excited because when the table goes up over there, that will be my space to do my writing and my keeping up with things a little better. I'm trying to get a better schedule and get things really really worked out. And that'll just give me such an inspiring view. Plus I can have the window open and everything, so it'll be really awesome. So let me see here. Shelley says, I know that brain fog well. Been there since I got sick. Yeah, it's not a nice place. It's not a nice place. So if you go back and watch my videos from when I first started doing these Faithfully Forward, and I forget what the first one was, but this goes back 3 years when I started doing these I started Wednesdays. And it's really funny because I haven't gone back to watch them, but I know the struggles I had. I know how bad my mind was disconnecting and how many brain farts I was having. I needed Toika back then because I was just like totally slipping on my words and my thoughts were leaving me, but I kept persevering and here I am today. So brain fog is a nasty, nasty thing. It is terrible, but there are things we can do to clear our minds and be able to focus better. I'll have to do a class on that. Jane says, even had the inmates where I work gardening, all food harvested was donated. Most were humbled by this and it was a feel good to do good. That's really awesome. So inmates in the local jails and they came to your place to do your gardening. That's pretty awesome. Jane says, the rudeness is getting worse. Let us all be lights in the world. Amen. Yes, it is. It really, really is. People, as many rude people as I see good people. So, but it's, I don't know. I don't know how to explain what we experience, but that's the only solution is being a light, is killing them with kindness. You know, when they slam the door in our face, open it for the person behind us, you know, and just love on those that are hurting because they have circumstances. I guarantee you they are walking something out and don't know how to handle it. Shelley says, there was a homeless man who was panhandling outside the bank with no gloves. It was cold and I had a spare pair of fingerless gloves that I gave him to keep warm. Awesome. You go, girl. You go. We need more people like this, you know. Good morning, Miss Rhonda. We miss you. Hello, Diana. Not sure how long I can stay. Glad you are here, sweet lady. I hope you guys are doing good. Any of you newcomers, if you have praises, or prayer requests, please let us know. Toika says, oh, kids, go to your room, then put the stairs away. Right? Isn't that funny? No, I just stick Glenn up there. Oh, That's funny. Hello, Mill. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we got a good house full again. So those are just some tips for financial aspects of things to consider when you're going through those circumstances. And being diligent, realizing that we are responsible, but doing our due diligence and not be in a place of avoidance. Avoidance does not help, because it's always going to be in the back of your mind and it's always going to be bugging you. And then if you avoid it and you try to move forward because you have received abundance or things have shifted, you've got a hot mess to try to clean up and figure out where you're standing. So keep it organized, stay on top of it. Whether you're using an app, a spreadsheet, a piece of paper, write things down, be aware of things, and be ready to take care of things. Create a binder with your bills in it so that they are handy and accessible, and keep adding the newest one on top so that you can see what kind of interest and fees they're adding, because a lot of times you can request them to be removed if you're willing to pay things off. So, and pray before you get on the phone that you get somebody kind that's willing to do that, you know, so that's really willing to work with you. Good to have so many in this morning. Yep, exactly. I know, I'm like excited, praising God for that. You guys are awesome. And I'm going to read, I think I want to read something now. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to read this now. 2 Timothy 3:3. The Lord is faithful. He will strengthen and protect you. Most of our worries can be summed up in two words. What if? What if the medical tests are bad? What if the market plummets? What if my mate walks out? What if I lose my job? The list is endless. Fear involves torment. That's 1 John 4:18. And by focusing on your worries instead of God's faithfulness, you're letting Satan torment you. You're also drawing all of that negativity back into yourself. So I keep telling you guys to focus on the good, and it is what it is otherwise. Focus on the good. But you don't have to allow Satan to torment. Jesus tells us not to be fearful and unsettled. John 14:27. Paul says, leave no room for the devil. Give no opportunity to him. Ephesians 4:27. And Solomon writes, the days of the afflicted are made evil by anxious thoughts and foreboding. But he who has a glad heart has a continual feast regardless of circumstances. That's Proverbs 15:15. If you're afraid of what lies ahead, stop and look back at God's faithfulness. He's utterly trustworthy. He will fulfill his call by hallowing and keeping you. That's 1 Timothy 5:24. So if you're plagued by worry, here are some Bible promises you can stand on. Praise the Lord, who has given rest to his people, just as he promised. Not one word has failed of all the good promises he gave. 1 Kings 8:56. You say, but I've failed God. Can I really expect him to help me? Yes, because even if we are faithless, he remains faithful. That's 2 Timothy 2:13. Before God redeemed you and made you his child, he was aware of all of your faults, flaws, and failures. Nevertheless, his word says he's faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. So the word for you today is don't worry, God is faithful. So faithfully forward, relentlessly faithful, we will move forward. And, you know, no matter, this applies to everything. You know, you could what if yourself to death. You can worry all you want. It's not going to solve anything. It's going to waste the precious minutes we have on this earth. And that's why I tell you guys all the time not to live out of a place of fear or worry, because it solves nothing. It solves absolutely nothing. Awesome. I see you guys saying hello to everybody. Thank you, Miss Deb. Deb says hit the like button or the thumbs up button. Thank you guys very much. Yes, if you are finding these useful, please share them around. Mention us to your friends. If you're new, subscribe. We would love to have you continue joining us. And be sure to leave comments if you're watching the replay. We love to hear from you guys too. Toyka says, I used to use a 4-column pad, would put pay dates in each column and then bills down the side. Worked out how I could pay who and when. Kept us from bankruptcy. Sometimes had $1 left over at the end of the week. Yep. And you know what? That's the key thing. You can't avoid. You got to pay attention. You got to see where you're at and know what you can get rid of. And it's a mindset, because when you start not avoiding it and paying attention to it, it gets pretty exciting when you can pay stuff off. It gets pretty exciting when you can see it being removed off of your list. And also just not the anxiety and the hassle of having to track it all back down and try to figure out where you are and who you owe and what's happening. And that I see a lot of people doing. And like I said, I was there. Avoidance was an easy way to, because I couldn't do anything and I was sick. But it didn't serve me well. And that's why I'm sharing my knowledge with you guys today. So don't avoid things. And that's something as simple as you can do. And you know, do what works for your mind. You know, I had mine organized by when the due dates were. And I had in the spreadsheet, I would sort some and put them into another spreadsheet, which were the larger ones, and try to tackle the other ones first. So it all depends what works for you, but don't avoid it. Avoidance would be the wrong thing to do. And like I said, get a binder, keep track of what you owe, keep track of what's being added, because a lot of times there are times when they are adding additional fees that they shouldn't be. So paying attention can save you a lot of money as well. So definitely stay on top of it. And awesome for sharing, Toika. Thank you. Laura says, treat everyone you meet as if you're meeting Jesus. Absolutely, because you never know. Matthew 25:36, I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. Yep. Yes, you never know who we are dealing with. Carol says, been there, Toika. It's not good bit. But we do it. Yep, exactly. And you have to, you know, as well, you know, in those circumstances, if you have children, how you handle these in any circumstance, how we handle our circumstances, although it may not be communicated, is seen. And when we are able to handle things in a very organized and a very thought out and a very relaxed state, having faith in God, you are teaching your children in such a tremendous way. So kudos to you for being the good examples. Yes, exactly, Laura. Quit shooting on yourself. Amen. I love that. I love the way that's put. Toika says, Carol, yes, things different now. Praise the Lord. Yep. And that's just it. We've got to have faith that God is going to walk us through these things. It's not going to be easy. We know that. So why stress over it? Why worry? You know, it is what we're going to walk out, and you live in the moment. You live in your day. You don't worry about what tomorrow's going to bring. It's stated in the Bible. Today's worries are sufficient, and not to worry about tomorrow's. So, you know, when we live in the moment, it makes life so much more enjoyable. I do have to plan ahead for our businesses and the things we do, but I live out of the moment for other things. And learning how to do that is key. And learning not to live in a place of fear, worry, and stress, anxiety, all those negative emotions is extremely important. Carol says, because you worked it out, Toika, well done. It's hard, but boy, do you learn fast. Yes, exactly. And that's just it. We need to learn from these circumstances. And I hope that this is helping other people that are watching the replay too, because I know there's a lot of people struggling right now, and it's important that we know how to handle these things, and to know that you're not alone, and to know that you can ask questions, and to know that you have support, and to get guidance. Diana says, thought I could stay longer, but I have to go. Enjoying the grandkids as well as our daughter and son-in-law. Oh, that's right. Well, awesome. Have a good time. Give them all hugs for us, and love you dearly, lady. Praying for you and Craig, and enjoy your visit. Shelley says, I tried to break up my bills and pay every time we get paid. So pay half the bill each pay so that I do not have to pay the whole amount at once. That's an interesting idea too. Yeah. And just being able to keep up with things. I like to use the Dave Ramsey aspect of things and setting money aside and in envelopes. And I do encourage you guys. I mean, I know they're saying no cash, but in a lot of areas, but I still feel it's important to not have everything in the bank as well, and to pay cash where you can. So being able to do the envelopes is a good way to do things. Limiting your budget to using the envelopes, that way if you only have $200 for groceries, it makes you be a little more cautious when you're shopping, and it also keeps you from doing impulse buying. So very important. Couponing, sale shopping, buying in bulk actually is very helpful if you're able to, because you get cheaper prices. So going that route is really important, and just thinking of all these things and the different ways. And the thing is too, as you see with us, you can see how little we need. We do not need, we are not part of the draw of the marketing side of society. There's very little we need, and it is a great place to be in when you have little needs. And that also enables you, when you're in a place of little needs, to be able to gift greater. So I'm really grateful for that as well. But having a little imprint, not having, and the other thing is too, when you're in those spaces, if you're in a place of struggle, start selling things. eBay used to be a great space when my kids were little. I would sell all their old toys as they'd outgrow them. I'd gift a lot of things, but I'd also, my kids were in a place of abundance because of the other side of the family. And I'm talking like disgusting abundance. Like stuff was still in boxes because they were gifted 3 of the same thing kind of stuff. So eBay was great. I'd make $1,000 a summer, and at that time, if I was tired of a picture on my wall, I'd sell it and replace it with something from a thrift store. So that enables you to find places of joy by gaining something that gives you joy, but not in a way of spending a lot, if that makes sense. So frugally being able to gift yourself. And that was how I did that. And I'd find my treasures for inexpensive. If I wanted to buy something at the time, I would sell something to do that. So being able to downsize and sell things off is a great way also. We had a huge yard sale. We loaded up our gooseneck trailer of everything we wanted to get rid of on the other homestead, preparing to move and to help in our place of lack. And I didn't come home with anything. What was left, which was minimal, I gifted to the senior center for them to sell because I didn't want to bring it back home. So, being able to do those things also is very helpful. Let me see here. Carol says, good thinking, Shelley. Yep. And Shelley says, this is a cash-free way to pay bills. Pay half and the other half, that way everything is more even, and I do not run out of money by accidentally spending too much and not saving what is needed. Smart. And that's the thing. We need to establish what works good for us. Laura says, forgive me not commenting much. I'm on my hands and knees scrubbing the floor. No worries. We're glad you're here and listening. Deb is at school listening as well. So I totally get it. I'm just grateful you guys are here. This is so awesome. And being able to get things done while you're doing this is really important to me because I know how valuable your time is. So I totally get it. And I treasure you all for being present. Mill says not engaging either. Too tired, lol. That's okay. You've been engaging well. We've had some very awesome conversations these last couple weeks, so it's pretty awesome. So, does anybody else have anything else they want to share on the financial aspect of things? And I hope this was helpful for some of you. But don't avoid. That's my key to you today is don't avoid your circumstances. Be organized in your circumstances, but find ways to make them more bearable. And one of the key things there is trusting God, trusting that He will provide. I mean, when you're in a place where you can't change the circumstances, you have two options: fear, worry, anxiety, stress, poor health, or trusting God and living in the moment. staying on top of things, but living life, you know, that's the key thing. We've got to just keep living through the process. I agree, Carol. Are you tired just because of all you've been doing? I know she's trying to move into her homestead too and everything. So have you had a busy week and just catching exhaustion? It's that time of year we're going to start diving in. Everybody's going to start diving into our outside tasks, which will be good for us because the fresh air is amazing. But praying for you, Mill. Is there any way we can specifically be praying for you? The other thing I wanted to talk about, just briefly, what I do with them, here we go, is washing clothes. Mill says, Carol, I'm great. Well, that's good. We're glad to hear that. I know tired. We all know tired. We all hit that place. And it's easy. Been working on the homestead. Say no more. My tired was just because of like my body shutting down. I could feel it. I could feel things compounding. So I'm so grateful to be on the upswing. And I'm glad that's a good tired is when you're working on the homestead like that. But I want to share a new purchase. I was gifted some of these many years ago, and I didn't justify purchasing them. I couldn't purchase them at the time, but now that we're getting nicer weather, I needed to do so. Okay, I've been using these up because these are your standard clothespin. All right, now these bad boys, and I'll pull one of these out of here in a second. Kevin's Quality Clothespins, guys. These are the bomb. Let me show you why. I invested in good clothespins. The rule in the house now is you can only use the cruddy clothespins to put on things. Like out in the shower house, we are using clothespins to keep the shower curtains closed. Clothespins are useful for all kinds of stuff, right? Well, I want to share the difference with you. See that? Now, look at this. You can actually see the other one on the other side of this. These are really hefty clothespins, and they are made, look at, I mean, it takes effort to push these springs open, where these are just like, you know, but this, I just got these out of the pack. I'm impressed. That spring is really heavy. But these are great because when it comes to hanging jeans and heavy stuff, you know, these little clothespins, you got to double them up. And with heavy winds and with our Amish wash line, which we used on the other homestead and we will be putting up here soon, you know, you string your clothes out way far, and on heavy wind days, I'd look out and there'd be jeans laying in my yard. Looked like a commune of people ran through and stripped their clothes. It's kind of scary. But these bad boys are really awesome. There's a link down below, TrayerWilderness.com/clothespins, if you guys are interested in checking them out. I will say this, that you're going to spend more money than you would on these cheap things, but these babies last forever. I've had them for, I think, like 6 years, going on 6 years. And if I don't have them in there, it's because it fell off the wash line or got displaced, not because it fell apart. I can honestly tell you in 6 years, not one of these has come apart. So, and we hang wash, and we hang a lot of wash. So that's pretty awesome stuff. These, they've come apart and they fall apart all the time. So I know it's something simple, but it's a really good investment, and I am really grateful for these. And they make a lot of their own products. Her husband is a works with wood, makes all kinds of different woodworking items, and you will find them on their website. They are really awesome people. I know them as well as have purchased these from them. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. You can find their website through the link that I provided, but I love the name of their website too. It's Lady and the Carpenter. So I think that's pretty cool. But these are really awesome and a really good investment. If you hang a lot of wash, you will be very thankful for them. The other thing I wanted to do is share a couple tips with you in washing, and I wanted to get you guys to share a little of your tips with me as well. The mountain man, if you haven't noticed, his clothes gets really grungy. Like he's constantly using, he needs to like wear like a work apron or something. He does when he's in the smithy a lot of the time. But he's constantly using his hand as, or his pants as a rag, and his shirts are just always covered in grease and all kinds of stuff. So one of the things I found, I do not use anything that has odors or toxins. Like, I don't use regular laundry soap. I cannot use fabric softeners. I do not use Clorox. I cannot. But I can use ammonia briefly. And yeah, I know, coveralls. Well, he does that in the winter sometimes, depending what he's doing. But he doesn't like the heat, so he avoids those. The Tyvek suits are good. Occasionally, I can get him to wear those, but his clothes are just so trash, just so crazy. And I've never seen anybody go through clothing like he does. Clothing and shoes. I mean, he is just on the go all the time. It doesn't, it's just funny. So anyway, what I do use is ammonia in my wash, and that helps break up the grease and the grime on his clothes. That is something, like I said, I can minimally tolerate. I also use vinegar, white vinegar in our wash, and I use, oh my goodness, I just went blank. Well, I'll share with you the two things that I do have that I can use. I do have a form of Clorox. It's a natural Clorox. It's a no odor, and it's actually peroxide. It's a heavy duty formula of peroxide. Mrs. Meyer's. I use Mrs. Meyer's soap. Ugh. And then this is the Ecover Zero is what I use. And that is a non-chlorine bleach, and it has no odor. So that is huge. That is huge, huge, huge. And Mrs. Meyer's is the soap I use. And then this is something else I use on occasion. Mrs. Stort's, the bluing liquid, that's great for your whites. And I share all this because on the other homestead and here, we only use cold water to do our wash. The hot water is not run to the washing machine. So, and right now in this house, we don't have hot water other than what comes out of the kettle. So that is why I use those things. There is, I forget the name of the white powder that is used to help really get stains out of clothing. I gotta think of what that's called. But again, that has an odor that just does me in. So that's another good one, but I cannot use it. Let me see here. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Carrie, you'll have to share. Let me see here. Shelly says, we were in a financial situation and I knew I had to do something, so I went and found a company to help us deal with the debt. I was proactive and went before we were in dire straits. Awesome. And that's the thing, is just to stay, as hard of a place as it is, we got to stay diligent, on top of things, and accountable. Carol says, it's 8 p.m. here. I am now flopped on the couch after all that planting today, lol. It's tough trying to fight Lorenzo off wanting to plant every seed. Oh, that's so funny. Toika says, oh, Carol, fighting off grandkids to plant seeds. You need an award. Oh, we're going to do our Zoom upcoming. I got to set a date. We're just in our community, not on YouTube, but we will Zoom and be able to do a face-to-face, and that way you guys can see Lorenzo. He is a cutie. Mill says, Carol, what are you planning? I'm jealous. No garden this year for me. Still moving. Well, the way things are going, we're probably not going to have a garden here either. I'm going to have my herb bed and some buckets of tomatoes and peppers and things like that. And then we're going to get our greenhouse in. The greenhouse is the most important for us to enable us to have food all year round. Toika says, those are really nice clothespins. Yeah, they're awesome. And yeah, Jane, coveralls would be great. Thankfully, when he does some of the jobs, the coveralls and uniforms are provided, which makes it nice. It saves on his clothes. Carol says, Toika, I was trying to a nearly 3-year-old boy. You only plant a few each, as we have trays not planting in the ground. He was having none of it. I'm going to have to do so much thinning out. Well, get a couple of the, well, you said you were getting some other buckets and things. Maybe you can, get them sprouted, get them started, and then transplant them somewhere that they can continue to grow. Mill says, my husband is a construction worker and mechanic, so he gets black hand towels in the bathroom. I hear you, sister. It's so funny. Saying, Glenn, oh my goodness. Yes. Well, his pants, the front of his pants legs are always black. And it just looks terrible, but that's why I didn't have ammonia for a while. So now I have ammonia, so I'm going to do that today and really clean his stuff up. Jane says, yep, Mill. Yep, Jane knows too. Thinning is a gift of patience, right? Carol says she's planting lettuce, radishes, spuds, red onions, spinach, carrots so far. Awesome. Shelly says, I wash my clothes in the scent-free laundry sheet and then hang mine on a clothes horse. If I have food stains, I use my dish soap to break the grease. That's good too, yep. Toyka says, Carol, maybe give him his own tray and seeds to plant. Yeah, that might be a good... Jane always knows. OxyClean, yes, that is the stuff I was talking about. Borax is good when you make your own soaps. I still have all the ingredients out in the container to make all my own laundry soap and hand soaps and dish soaps. So it's on hand, and I will start doing that again. But yeah, the OxyClean is really good on clothes. I just have to be so careful because stuff makes me flare. Borax, though, is a natural item, and we use that a lot. He uses that in the smithy as well as I use that in our soap. So and that can actually, borax is used in a lot of beauty products too that are handmade. It is actually from the earth. So Shelly says, if I dry my clothes in the dryer, I use dryer balls with lavender essential oil for sheets and towels. I often put lavender and lemongrass in the washing machine as well. Carol says, Toyka, these are his trays, lol. Shelly, doesn't that make it hard to bring in when dry? What did she say? Oh, and the clothes. Who asked that? Toyka. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Laura says, I buy medical 35% food grade hydrogen peroxide. It really helps to control mold, so I use it to clean everything. Yes, peroxide is awesome for mold. Just be sure to dilute it down, otherwise your hands turn white. Yes, they will. And the food grade peroxide is amazing and extremely heavy duty, so be very careful with that. And for those of you that do teeth brushing and gargling and such with peroxide, if you use the food grade, always make sure that it is extremely diluted, because it is heavy duty and it is not your store-bought peroxide, so be very careful with it. That's great stuff. I know. I actually lost mine in my move. My jar, what happened is it was in a canning jar, and from it moving, it got against the top of the jar and it ate everything off down into the peroxide. So I had to touch it. Jane says, I had alpaca balls. They were the best for the dryer. Laura says, I had to jump up to see the clothespins. They're awesome. Laura, I use peroxide too, Mill said. Shelly says, Toyka, you are just so funny today. I'm allergic to horsehair, so not the real horse, lol, right? Jane says, Laura, laundry soda, borax, and Castile soap grated. Yes, exactly. That's exactly how I make mine too. I love it. Lorenzo has used every bucket and tray. That is so funny. You guys are a riot. Deb says, I use the wool dryer balls. Love them. All right, I hear the mountain man coming, and I know that I'm going to have to jump off here because of what just transpired this morning. I need to get Wash going, and that is why he's here, because he wanted to do some water swapping. So I want to read something else to you guys, and then I will send you on your way for today. But remember, no what ifs. No what ifing yourself. And how did you put that, Laura? Shitting yourself. Shitting yourself. So James 1:3, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Perseverance keeps you going when friends fail you. Discouragement whispers, give up, and doubt says it can't be done. It's your anchor in life's storms, your compass when you're lost, and the head of steam that gets you up the next hill. Give me 1 second. I'm reading this and then jumping off so I can communicate with you. Huh?
Okay. I come down and get the barrel and take it up.
I know. There's reasoning behind all of it.
Okay.
So come, and I'm going to finish. Why don't you say hello to everybody real quick?
Hi.
Okay. All right, let me finish this. All right, it's your anchor in life's storms, your compass when you're lost, and the head of steam that gets you up the next hill. James says the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Perseverance, which means to keep on keeping on, develops your faith. When the process is complete, God will end the trial and not before. Meanwhile, here are 3 scriptures you need to stand on. 1, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. It's Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. Number 2, God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. 1 Corinthians 10:13. 3, people are watching us as we stay at our post, working hard, working late, working without eating, with pure heart, clear head, steady hand, and gentleness, holiness, and honest love. When we're telling the truth, when God's showing his power, when we're doing our best, setting things right, when we're praised, and when we're blamed, slandered, and honored, true to our word, though distrusted, ignored by the world, but recognized by God. Immersed in tears, yet always filled with deep joy, having nothing, having it all. 2 Corinthians 6, 1 through 10. That was from the Message. So persevere. Everything you're going through right now will be more than worth it in the end. And that's regardless what you're walking out. I felt nudged to do the financial thing because I'm just seeing so much of it with, our circumstance. We're still trying to get back on our feet entirely and trying to help the mountain boy, seeing other people, seeing and hearing what people are saying. So perseverance is huge. And I told you, I love James 1. I love James 1. I love James. So it's definitely true. James 1 and 3, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And we need to live out of a place of faith and not fear in every aspect of things. So it's really, really important. Let me see here. Laura says, have a blessed day live. And Jane and Toika Carol says, you have no idea. Lol, he's on a mission to plant everything. Oh, I'm sure. Tammy, whoa. Are through the metal? Ate through the... Oh, yeah. The peroxide? Yeah. It didn't eat a hole entirely through it, but had it kept going, yes, it would have. So, yeah, you have to be careful what you have that stored in. So, I know, right, Jane? I loved doing gardening with Austin and in the kitchen. The kitchen was another crazy place, cooking with them. I've always cooked with them when my kids were little. 2 and up, they started getting involved in everything I was doing. Kept them from running away sometimes. Toika says, my husband lost one of my dryer balls in the clothes. Haven't found it yet. Now, that is funny. That is funny. It's kind of like the Tupperware lids and socks. Jane says, let him plant. Take lots of pics. You'll be able to tell stories someday. Yep. He was in and out, Toika. She said hello to Glenn. Huh? Jane lost one, too. That's so funny. Aliens, exactly. It has to be. Carol says, hope you all have an amazing Easter weekend. Lots of love, hugs, prayers to you all. Breathe, Mountain Man. We love you. Yes, thank you, Carol. I will relay that. Howdy, Glenn, from both of us. Awesome, awesome. Mill says, have a great day, friends. Blessings to you all. Happy Easter, happy Easter. Yes, happy Resurrection Day. I'm going to say a prayer for us quick, and then I do have to jump off of here. Papa, I thank you so much for your love, mercy, and grace, for your hand in everything that we do, for your presence, for guiding us, directing us, and being present in our storms and in our lives. And I just ask that you be with everybody. You know everyone's needs. We lift up Toika and Jane and Mill, and Carol, Tammy and Shelley, and Diana and Craig and Laura and everybody that's present, everybody that's watching the replay. I just ask that you be with them. You know their needs. Be with Tracy and just help her with her cancer, and just be with her. Give her peace and comfort. Be with Carol in regard to the situation. And be with Holly and her family. Be with Pat Kenny. And be with Austin. And just be with Glenn. Help him. Just give him peace and comfort too. Got a lot going on. And we just thank you for what you're doing. We thank you for the blessings. And just give us the strength and perseverance to do the things we need to do. Be with those that are struggling financially. Just help them to find you in that situation, to be on top of things and to stay organized and to stay diligent and to find means and ways to make the process more comforting. And that is just stepping out of a place of fear and worry and just trusting you and giving it all to you in faith. And we just thank you for what you're going to do. Thank you for your son. Thank you that the grave could not hold him. And thank you for his resurrection and our gift of eternal life. And we just thank you for that blessing. Thank you for your constant blessings and your supernatural powers that you provide to each of us every day. Just be with everyone. Keep them safe till we meet again Monday, and give everybody a safe and blessed weekend. We love you, and we thank you for what you're doing in the background in our lives and in the world, and ask all this in the holy and precious name of Jesus. Amen. All right, guys, I need to bolt. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, a blessed weekend. I can't wait to see you guys Monday, and love you all. Oh, thank you. Deb says happy birthday and happy anniversary to you too. Thank you, and happy Easter. Yes, all of that on the 4th. It's pretty awesome stuff. So you guys have an awesome resurrection day. I love you all. Yes, he is risen. Amen, amen. I love you guys. Have a wonderful resurrection day and a great rest of your weekend. God bless.